If you want to know more about root constraints in ASP.NET Core, here is a quick guide for developers. Root constraints can be used on parameters to restrict the matching of a root. They can be used in controllers, but for this tutorial, we're going to use minimal APIs. So we've got an example here. We've got the product/ID. We've put in a root constraint of integer. So for this root to match, it needs to be an integer. Now you can add several root constraints to a parameter. So we could specify that it's an integer here and it's also required. We can also add additional ones. We're going to add one for active and we're going to specify a root constraint that it's a Boolean. And as long as all these match, it will go through and execute this endpoint. Another root constraint that we can use is the GUID. So we're going to create a new endpoint. We'll call it product/identifier/ID, and then we'll use the GUID root constraint. And then we can pass that in like that, and then just return the ID. Let's run these and test them out. So let's try it with the first root that we set up. So we've got an ID of 1 and an active of true. So we can keep on changing this and it will keep on matching that root. If we put letters in there, because it's an integer, it will return a 404. And it's the same with the second root that we set up. So we've got a GUID in there, but again, if we sort of change that so it's not a GUID, it will return a 404 not found response. There are a number of other root constraints which we'll show to you shortly. Before that, just to let you know, I have a minimal API course for complete beginners, which you can view at roundthecode.com/min1. There's also a link for it in the YouTube video description. Now let's have a look at the date-time root constraint. So this is an example of how we can use the date-time constraint. So we've added it here, we've used the date-time constraint, and then we're passing it in as a parameter. We can use the type of datetime because we know it's going to be a datetime as part of the endpoint handler, and we're just going to return it. Let's run the application. So we can pass in a date of the 10th of November 2025, and that's returned the response, so it's matched the constraint. There are several number constraints that you can use. So in this example, we're using the decimal constraint, but we can also use other ones as well. So we're going to change the root here, and we're going to change the constraint to a double. So that's another one that we can use and return the price. Another one we can use is float. So we just change the root, and then we'll mark it with the root constraint. Then we'll need to change the type for that as well. And the other one that you can use is the long. So once again, we'll change the root there, change the constraint, and change the type there. When you subscribe, you'll be notified for any new videos that are released on this channel. There is an alpha constraint, and you can also specify the minimum and maximum length. Here's how you do that. We've set up this root with a slug parameter. We want to make sure that only letters appear in there, so we use the alpha. We want to specify that it has a minimum length of 4 and a maximum length of 8 characters. So we specify 4 characters in the slug, and that's returned a response. What do you think will happen though if we only return 3 characters? Well, it returns a not found error. What about if we put numbers in? The same thing. It needs to be letters and it needs to be between 4 and 8 characters. We've also got the length constraint as well. Remove these and we're going to alter it and use the length constraint. We've added in a number of 8, so the slug now must have 8 characters and it must be letters only. So we'll test that with 8 characters in the slug, and that's returned a response. But anything else, and it just returns a not found response. You can also add 2 numbers into the length constraint. So if we were to specify 4 with a comma and then 8, that will be a minimum length of 4 or a maximum length of 8. So similar to what we did earlier. The range constraint allows you to specify the minimum and maximum value of an integer. Here's how you use it. We've got this root and we've got a code parameter with an int constraint. What we want to do is specify that the code must be between 1 and 9,999. So to do that, we can call the range constraint, pass in 1 and then 9999 as the maximum value. So we're going to add the code as 483. That's working. Let's try it with another number. Let's now try it with 5 numbers. That isn't working, and that's because it's over the maximum value of 9,999. We can also try it with 0 as well. That's below the minimum value of 1, so it's not working. As well as range, you can use the min and max constraint. This is where you might want to specify only a minimum value or a maximum value. So we just remove the range and we can call min, so it'll have a minimum value of 1 and a maximum value of 9999. The regex constraint allows you to match a URL parameter using a regular expression. Here's how you use it. Within the sku parameter, we're going to specify the regex constraint, and then we need to add a parameter within that. So we're going to specify that the first 3 characters are going to be letters, and that the last character is going to be a number. So do you think it will run the endpoint if we add ABC1 there? Yes, that is the case. If we change it up a bit though, if we specify something else, then it doesn't run for us. There's also the non-file and file constraints. With the file constraint, it must contain a dot in the last segment, followed by non-dot characters. With the non-file constraint, it can't have a dot in it in the last segment. We're now going to see what happens when we've got matching roots. So we've got these 2 endpoint handlers. With this one, we're specifying the regex constraint, and it's got 5 numbers to match this root. With this one though, we're just using the integer constraint. So when we pass in 5 numbers into the ID, it will match both of these roots. What will happen though when we execute that? Let's now try that. We're getting this exception saying the request matched multiple endpoints. The solution to this is to specify the withOrder method. So we can specify that we want to match this one first. So if we've got a number with 5 digits, then it's going to match this one first. And then we want to match this one second. So any other integers will match this one. We specified a response of first root and second root to test it. So we'll specify it with 3 numbers. That's matching the second root. Let's try it with 5 numbers now. Which root do you think it will match? It's matching the first root. Because we've got that in the order, even so it would match this one, we're specifying that that's got higher priority than this root. We've covered the root constraints in ASP.NET Core, but what if you want to write your own custom one? For that, you can create your own class. So we've added our own zip code constraint. We need to implement the iRoot constraint interface. This means that we have to add this method. What we're doing here is we're trying to get the value out of the root value dictionary. If we can't get that value out, we return false. So in that instance, it would go on to the next root or return a not found response. And then we're just doing a regex here. We're making sure that the zip code's got 5 numbers in it, and that will return an isMatch of true. If it doesn't have 5 numbers, it will return false. You then need to register it in program.cs using the configure method, and we need to configure the root options. So we specify the constraint map. We add the key, so we're going to call it zip code. We need to get the type of the constraint, which is zip code constraint. Then in the root, we can just specify the zip code constraint like that. So we'll try it with 5 numbers. That's returning for us. Anything else though, it's throwing an error. So there are the different types of root constraints that are available in ASP.NET Core. And if you want to know more about minimal APIs, then watch this video next. Root constraints are covered in my Minimal API for Complete Beginners course, which you can view at roundthecode.com/min1. There's also a link for it in the YouTube video description. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.